Good evening, race fans, and welcome to yet another race here today. Going to be race number 28 of the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. We are here today at Talladega Superspeedway. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second, as drivers get themselves ready for qualifying here today. Last week, we saw some exciting action unfold at Texas Motor Speedway, with David Santini taking home the win, Colby Baber in second, and Billy Fitzgerald coming home, rounding out our top three for last week's race at Texas Motor Speedway. Here today, though, it is a little bit of a different story, more or less a wild card, if you want to think of it that way, for drivers here today competing not only just for the race itself, but for the championship here for the MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. Fairly tight here. Not only for the lead, but for the top, let's say, almost the top 5 positions. Actually, I take that back. The top 3 positions. If you go a little bit further beyond that, there are still some good battles happening in various spots, but the top 3 is really the key one to look at here going into the final few races here of the playoffs. Now that this is actually the last round, if I do believe here, of the round of... No, this is the second round of the round of 12. Next week at the Charlotte Roval will be the final round here, final race of the round of 12. So Talladega here, again, going to be a wild card for a lot of drivers, and for Colby Baber and Evan Longacre, there's only 9 points separating these two drivers, really separating Colby Baber from that championship here at this moment. So, again, here tonight is a little bit of a wild card. Drivers just going to be fighting for whatever positions they can, essentially, throughout today's race, whatever spots that they can muster. We're going to see a lot of bumper-to-bumper action throughout today's race, and I expect to see at least one caution here before the end of the race, as we're taking a look at Matthew Dyer at this point in the race, or in the qualifying, and just seeing where everyone is going to put themselves on the timing tower for today's start. So far, Barry Stevens going to be the first driver to come across the line with a valid time here. John Binder, though, the 33 machine, only for a moment on the top, as Derek Whitford, the 44 car, takes the lead, the top qualifying spot here in the 44 machine. A lot of the field here making their qualifying laps at this moment. Now, for starting here at Talladega, I mean, we are only going to see 85 laps here at Talladega. Now, that's still going to be a lot of laps to turn here for drivers, but it's going to be really, it's going to be tough, because you don't want to necessarily put yourself in the situation where you're having to lead the entire race, because that's going to be quite the challenge, and we still are expecting to see a stage break to come out here on, I believe it is lap 20. So 20 laps into the race, we're going to see the yellow flag fly and bring drivers in through pit road to get tires, fuel, what have you. Get another restart in early on in today's race. But qualifying is just about over here. Only a few drivers remaining out on track, putting down times here before we get into our starting lineup of today's race. Jamie Knopf, the 28 driver, going to be coming across the line at the top of the field with a 53.26 as his best time, a 10th faster than Derek Whitford in the second place spot in the number 44 machine here today. So already seeing a lot of variation throughout the field as far as pace for qualifying here. It's going to dramatically change, though, once we get everyone set up side by side and start drafting alongside one another. We'll definitely start to see those times start to come in a little bit closer for some drivers, depending on how quickly, whether or not they find themselves getting shuffled out of the pack and having to fight kind of all of that dirty / clean air on their own. So with only looks to be Richard Clement Sr., the 52 machine out here, and it's going to be an early lap there for the 52 driver as the checkered flag is waved, and we're going to go ahead and start into our starting grid for today's race. Up in the front row, we have Jamie Knopf, Derek Whitford. Second row is Jeffrey Meyer and Evan Longacre with our third row, Billy Fitzgerald and John Binder. Fourth row is Matthew Dyer and Barry Stevens. Fifth row, David Santini and Robert Cook. Sixth row, Bobby Harmon and Chad Gunningsman. Looking a little bit further down the grid here into our seventh row, Scott Stevens and Kenny Meadows. Colby Baber and Mike Howerton in row 8. Row 9 is Brent Wall and Chuck Waldrop. Row number 10 is Richard Clement Sr., Chris Hansen, and our final row, Kyle Mollering and Kelly Pointer. Rounding out our field here today for race number 28 of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals, which is also brought to you by Old School Ninjas. Big shout out, big thank you to the sponsors for this series for not only helping out the league and making sure that these drivers have a place to race against some very talented drivers, but also for allowing us to be up here in the booth to bring you coverage of these great races that we see here for the Midwest Sim Racing Association. A great bunch of drivers and a lot of talent throughout this field and throughout a lot of the races that we've seen here. So really great to see as we await the pace car to make its rounds here for the very first time around Talladega Superspeedway. It is going to be quite the race to witness here, folks. Again, the championship is ever heated up here. The battles between Colby Baber as well as Evan Longacre, only 9 points separating these two drivers, and I gotta say, that is with only a handful of races left in the season. This is going to be exciting to witness. The wild card of the playoffs, essentially, as drivers make way with a pace car in tow for the first time around Talladega Superspeedway. Some drivers towards the back of the field there having a little bit of a late start there. But that is A-okay as we begin our pace lap here around Talladega. And there you can see up in the top left of your screen, 85 laps here at the Superspeedway, the legendary Talladega. And I gotta say, this is going to be this is going to get interesting really quickly right out of the gate. I mean, I'm not too certain who's going to kind of make some real moves here early on. I mean, we have to bear in mind that drivers are going to come down into pit road about lap 20 once that stage caution is flown. Technically, it'll be lap 21 once it flies, but either way, either how, you know, you got to wonder who is going to really try and charge their way through this field in these opening 20 laps to try and make up as many positions as possible, or who is going to do the opposite and kind of stay a little bit more reserved, knowing that the field is going to get reset here only 20 laps into the race. And here we go out of turn number 4. Pace car will make its dive, or rather slow dive, down into pit lane as we await drivers to make their way into the Geico restart zone here at Talladega. And the green flag will drop, and we will be racing here for the very first time. Through the Geico restart zone we go, and away the drivers go. Patience here for a lot of the drivers up ahead, but a little bit of wobbling back towards the tail end of this pack. As we come through turns 1 and 2, everything steadying itself back out here. Most drivers opting to stay on the bottom lane here. Only a couple looking to go up top here. But now as we start to make our way down the back straightaway, heading into turn number 3, starting to see a couple more drivers opting to go up top here, but still it is the same 4 that we see here at this moment. I believe that is Derek Whitford in the number 44, just ahead of Evan Longacre, the second place driver in the championship. Looking to gain as many positions possible here before the stage break comes out here at Talladega. Across the line, it's lap 2 of 85. Jamie Knopf still holding on to his lead with the 44 of Derek Whitford just on the outside, trying to do all that he can and use all of the advantage of the drivers behind him to give him that push and be able to kind of make that slingshot move that we will often see here at Talladega. So not quite able to make it happen just yet, as the bottom lane still showing a lot of speed here in the early laps here at Dega, and I gotta wonder how much that's going to eat up the tires for the drivers down on that inside lane, or really for Jamie Knopf especially, given that he is the leader. He is the guy with the biggest target on his back at this point in the race. But it is still early, a lot of laps left to be turned here, and side by side for this entire field. This is where a lot of these drivers are going to find themselves locked in here, fighting for positions, trying to stay in this draft. Because folks, if you find yourself bent out of shape and out of the draft, you are going to fall down the field very quickly. Everyone continuing to do a phenomenal job here as we come out of turn 4 and across the checkered line, bringing us lap 4 of 85. We come back into turn number 1 and still just calm and steady up here for the entire field at this point in time. No one really, oh boy, we've seen a little bit of movement out of the 50 of Jeffrey Meyer. Looked like he was possibly going to step out in front of the 44 of Derek Whitford and potentially take the lead on that outside row here. But that door is quickly shut by Derek, and Derek continuing to try and show that this outside lane has the pace to be able to challenge the 28 of Jamie Knopf. But I mean, we're seeing some drivers kind of scrambled out here a little bit on that outside lane, not exactly bumper to tail, but that shouldn't matter too much. Still seeing very good pace out of this entire field at this moment, and I mean, for Derek Whitford, this isn't exactly the end of the world. He's got a train of drivers behind him, all pushing him forward, all trying to get up there with him as well, especially Evan Longacre in the 95 machine. Colby Baber is the number 10 machine, back currently in 15th. Going to be looking to try and do the same thing here, but it is going to be a little bit trickier kind of from this tail end of the pack, if you will. But Colby is in a position where, you know, if something were to happen up front, he will have more than enough time, more than likely, to be able to react to that situation. So, I mean, it's all kind of it's all a chess game here at Talladega. You really have to play your moves and just hope that they work, because you never know when your race is going to end in the blink of an eye. It seems like it always happens here to someone at least once. But let's see if tonight, or the drivers with MSRA, make that change here. Still impressive driving here from Jamie Knopf. I'm really impressed to see just how well the 28 machine is able to keep up ahead of, drivers like Derek Whitford trying to make this outside lane work for them. I mean, we've seen it in the past here on Team Goon Squad in other league races here at Talladega, where you're able to kind of use that outside lane to kind of slingshot your way into the front. But so far, it does not seem like anyone is quite able to do that here just yet. Still early on, we might have to wait a little bit longer before tires start to degrade just a little bit more, but even then, we might have to wait an even longer time than that, as in about 13 laps, we are going to see that stage caution come out, and drivers will have an opportunity to get a fresh set of Goodyears if they choose to do so, which I will assume majority of the field will, if not all of the field. Taking a look here from the inside of Scott Stevens in the 55 machine, coming down the back straightaway, heading into turn number 3. Stuck behind the 79 driver of David Santini. Here at this point in time, Scott holding on to 10th place. Inside the top 10, coming out of turn number 4, side-by-side racing here at Dega. And everyone here with MSRA doing an absolutely incredible job of giving each other plenty of room, not bumping into each other too much or trying to avoid it as much as humanly possible. Truly great racing here from the folks at Midwest Sim Racing Association. Taking a look from above here, just seeing what we can see from the blimp camera here at Talladega. And I mean, just looking at Jamie Knopf, now starting to see a little bit of pressure here from Derek Whitford, but only just barely. I mean, it really seems like either Knopf has something going for him down there on that inside lane, or Whitford is just having a real hard time trying to keep up with the leader here, or at least make an attempt at trying to get up next to him here in these turns. Down the straightaways, he's able to build up a little bit of speed and get close, but once we go through the turns, I'm not 100% certain what the issue might be there for Derek Whitford or for Jamie Knopf. I mean, I'm not entirely too certain who's struggling or who isn't, but at least in regards to this battle up here in the front, I mean, it definitely seems like Whitford here, I'm not sure. Let's actually ride on board here for a moment. I want to see potentially what's, oh boy. A little bit of a moment there. But let's have a listen here. Not that there's going to be any real change. Paying attention to the wheel here of the 44 of Derek Whitford. You know, he's not really cranking on it either, so I can't imagine that he's fighting for speed here. I think maybe it's just tires aren't really working in his favor at this point in time. I think it's coming down to tire wear at this point. That's at least a stab in the dark for my part, but impressive driving nonetheless from everyone up here. I mean, these guys are making it look just like a Sunday drive going, oh, I don't know, 190 miles an hour. Just a Sunday, you know, Sunday cruise. But so far, lap 13 of 85, only a few laps left before we see the lap 20 stage break. Here for race number 28. Only just now did we start to see drivers taking it 3 wide here. But for the longest time, it was a 2-lane battle here, or 2-lane field. But now starting to see the 73 machine take it up on the outside lane. Bobby Harmon going to take a few other drivers along with him to see what they can do on the far outside lane. Billy Fitzgerald, meanwhile, or excuse me, Derek Whitford, meanwhile, still holding the lead of the middle lane here at this point. But Jamie Knopf still doing an impressive job in the 28 Toyota Supra. Just clicking off laps like it's nothing here. But there we go, back to double file here for these drivers. I think they quickly realized that it wasn't going to work. Everyone just staying as calm as they possibly can here before the stage break here in the next roughly 5 laps, if you'll call it that. Not a whole lot of movement happening throughout this field. Everyone pretty much staying 2 wide the entirety of this first section of the race here tonight. So not exactly seeing too much unfolding here early on, but again, that was a kind of expected on from myself. I going into this, it was really a question of, is there going to be any real action happening in that first portion of the race before the stage break? You know, I find it hard to imagine that anyone is going to want to risk kind of taking those risky moves, going into, you know, a 20-lap dash to the first stage break. Didn't really seem like the logical choice, and now that we're seeing it play out that way, definitely seems like the way to go. Just keep it clean and green for that stage break, and everyone will be able to get back down into pit road, get tires, get fuel. Meanwhile, Matthew Dyer stuck on the outside here, down on the bottom, coming down the back straightaway. He has a moment and falls back to 16th. Among other drivers here finding themselves shuffling around the track, and it looks like the 44 of Derek Whitford starting to see that fall off here as well. You can see even Jeffrey Meyer, the 50 machine, pushing on the rear bumper of that 28 car. Just moving him forward as much as he possibly can. And now the 95 of Evan Longacre finally sees a bit of clean air in front of him. Only now has to make his way around the 28 of Jamie Knopf, among other drivers here at Talladega. Scrambling happening towards the midfield, though. You can even see Colby Baber up there on the outside lane, trying to stay away from all of that action happening just ahead of him here at this moment. Riding from the helmet camera here of Colby Baber in the number 10 machine, the current championship leader. Just smooth, clean driving here from Colby Baber as, man, we're seeing drivers shuffling all over the front of the field here. 4 wide as we come across the checkered line, heading into turn number 1. Almost a little bit of calamity there. Drivers getting a little close for comfort. I'm sure that some drivers are going to have to check their shorts after that one because that was definitely close. Jeffrey Meyer now deciding that he wants a stab on the outside lane just ahead of Evan Longacre. The 50 machine now going to be the lead on the outside. Starting to see a little bit of challenge here for the lead. Jamie Knopf, the 28 machine, now seeing, well, a little prematurely as I wasn't exactly paying attention to the lap ticker there, and 21 laps has approached us. The yellow flag is out for the stage break here at Talladega Superspeedway. So drivers now going to get a mad dash here to pit lane to be able to get themselves down through pit road, get a fresh set of tires, fuel, all of the good stuff that you need for a race here at Talladega. So drivers are going to go ahead and do that, and while they get themselves squared away, we're going to go ahead and step away from the booth here for just a moment to get ourselves some fluids, get ourselves ready for the next stint here. So make sure you stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for more of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals, also brought to you by Old School Ninjas right here on Team Goon Squad. Stay tuned for more iRacing in just a moment. Welcome back, race fans, as we see drivers make their way through pit lane. Jeffrey Meyer finding himself at the head of the group here. Let's see how pit stops play out for drivers here now as everyone gets themselves into their pit stalls. We can see the leader, Jamie Knopf, the 28 machine up here in the front stall. Up on the left, up on the right. And down he goes and back out onto the racetrack. These drivers will go. Unless potentially it looks like Maybe not. Down here still in pit road. The 28 machine not showing any movement here. Potentially a penalty being served by the 28 driver. I'm not entirely 100% certain if that's the case here. So I'm not exactly 100% certain if Jamie Knopf was served a penalty or what the case might have been here, but Jamie down in pit road for a little over a minute and a half. Gonna find himself restarting here in 19th and still making his way back towards the rest of the pack here to restart, but a little bewildered to see the leader of, I mean, at least in this first 20 laps of the race and doing so phenomenal, deciding to, well, I don't know if he decided to, but ultimately going to be restarting here after the stage break towards the tail end of the field. I'm a little confused to say the least here, folks, but as the lights go off on the pace car, we're going to make ourselves around the track here one more time. Go back to green flag racing here now that everyone is out on a fresh set of tires, full tank of gas. They are ready now for the next 60 laps of today's race. Now, still expecting to see another pit stop here before the end of the race, at least one, I would have to imagine. But we probably won't see that until about lap 50 or 60, depending on how long these drivers are going to be able to keep out on these sets of tires here currently. So Billy Fitzgerald, Bobby Harmon restarting in our first row. Richard Clement Sr., Robert Cook in our second row. Derek Whitford and Kyle Mollering restarting in our third row. As we come out of turn number 4, the lights are off on the pace car. And it will get ready to make its way down into pit road and get ready for this restart here at Talladega. The drivers are eager. I know I'm eager. I hope you folks watching at home are eager as well as we get ready to go back to green here. Into the Geico restart zone. The green flag drops here once again, and Billy Fitzgerald, the 22 machine, not taking any time at all here to try and get a jump here on the rest of the field, and already a little bit of a gap separating himself and the rest of this pack, but they are going to quickly stack up to the rear end of that 22 machine as the 73 of Bobby Harmon has a little bit of pressure from behind the 64 of Robert Cook in the Wrangler 64, giving him a push down the back straightaway, trying to get more momentum, more speed, and there goes Bobby Harmon in front. of the 22 of Billy Fitzgerald taking the lead here at Talladega. Drivers a little bit more spread out towards the tail end of this group. So a little bit of separation starting to happen here as the lead drivers essentially, you could almost say the top 10, nearly. So technically this would be the top 8, but either way, either how, the pace that these guys are setting is looking good here. I'm curious to see if any of these guys behind them are going to be able to kind of pick up on that draft and reel them in. It looks like some of them may be able to do so here, as some drivers up here towards the front opting to choose different lanes to try and make that work. But here, starting to see single file form up here towards the front of the field as we come across the checkered line, bringing us lap 26 of 85 here at Talladega. 27, actually, excuse me. You can also see the race leader, Jamie Knopp, the previous race leader. The 28 machine finding himself back up here in the top 10. Continuing to fight for positions here as well, as we come through turns 3 and 4 and back out onto the front curve here at Dega. Some more action happening in, again, towards the mid-pack and beyond. A few drivers getting side by side with one another, trying to make challenges happen, as starting to see a pretty rare phenomenon that I have yet to see here at Dega is a relatively single file race. I don't think I have seen too much of that here at Talladega. It's usually 2 lines or bust. But right now it seems like enough of this field has got enough distance between each other that they're kind of able to make it work with just a single lane. But how that's going to impact the racing for the drivers, I'm not exactly 100% certain, as that starts to change a little bit up here towards the front of the pack. The 44 of Derek Whitford looking for a little bit more of the taste of the front, trying to make that outside lane work for him again, as, you know, he stuck with it for so long during that first stint. He's going to try and make it work here again, as the 52 machine of Richard Clement Sr. going to find his way up into the middle lane, trying to challenge Bobby Harmon, the 73 driver, for the lead. The 22 of Billy Fitzgerald right on the tail of the leader, with Robert Cook closely behind, and Robert might have the door potentially to move up to the outside lane if he chooses to do so, but I think he's pretty comfortable where he's at. But you can also start to see Jamie Knopp, the 28 machine, currently in that 7th place spot, again, who was leading the race before that before the stage break came out, having stayed down in pit road for so long, for well over a minute and a half, restarting towards the tail end of the field. I think 19th was his official restart point. I gotta say, big props here to Jamie Knopp here tonight at Talladega. It definitely seems like Dega is picked its favorite, and I'm not just saying that. It definitely looks like Jamie is on a path to victory so far. I don't want to say anything quite yet here. I don't want to call out a specific winner, but I can already see it. I mean, you can even put the 44 of Derek Whitford up there, 22 machine of Billy Fitzgerald. I mean, there's multiple drivers that have been up here, staying consistent, staying clean, and continuing to do so here in the second portion of tonight's race. So can't just exclude all of the drivers. Everyone here has done an incredible job in today's race and continue to do so here as we are lap 31 of 85. Just a little over 50 laps left here at Talladega. Taking a look out the rear view of Bobby Harmon's 73 machine, you can see the front end of Richard Clement, or I believe that's Billy Fitzgerald actually. The 22 machine just getting absolutely as close as he possibly can here to the rear end of Bobby Harmon. That nose almost touching the bumper of the 73 car. Just goes to show, folks, how much or little distance that these guys have between one another here on a super speedway, and in turn how little time you have to react to anything, really. I mean, take for example, if Billy Fitzgerald right now were to decide to go up to the top, to the middle lane here in front of Richard Clement Sr., if he had the room, of course, I don't think Richard would even know what was happening until it was already done. I don't think any driver would know what was happening until it was done at that point. These things just happen so quickly. And here's someone going up to the outside. That looks to be Kyle Mollering in the 84 machine. Drops inside the yellow lane here outside of the groove. I'm not entirely sure for what reason. It could have been intentional on his part. He may have said, hey, I've had enough of this. I want out. And try and reset and restart, or what the case may be. But either way, Kyle Mollering going to fall back a few positions to 11th place as Bobby Harmon continues to have an impressive lead here in the 73 car. Coming out of turn 2 and out onto the back straightaway. While drivers continue to turn laps here at Talladega, let's go ahead and ride on board for a lap or two with, let's say, the number 2 of Matthew Dyer in the 2 car. And listen to the sights and sounds here at Talladega Superspeedway. I don't know if you folks at home could hear that, but for a split moment, Matthew Dyer lifted off of the throttle there for just a moment, just trying to keep a little bit of distance between himself and this pack, it seemed like. Trying not to get too close, but close enough that he's still in the mix of things, if you will. But lap 36 of 85, we've turned about 10 laps since we've come back to green here. And what I'm kind of wondering at this point in the race, again, I'm expecting to see drivers come through pit road at least one more time before the end of tonight's race. So kind of basing it off of what we saw before the stage caution, the stage break here, I would have to imagine drivers are going to be able to stay out between about 30 laps or so, 30 to 40 laps, probably not quite 30 or 40 laps, but about 30, 25 to 35, somewhere in that neighborhood. Maybe a little longer, depending on, you know, how long some drivers are in the draft for. You know, if you stay behind a driver for long enough, you're not really turning on that, having to yank on that wheel nearly as much. You're able to conserve those tires just a little bit more than the rest of your opponents. But I mean, there's a lot of drivers here that are in draft, so not exactly something that you'll be able to win the race off of solely. But I gotta say, though, you know, again, with Talladega being a bit of a wild card in tonight's race, or in this season, taking a look at some of the battles happening throughout the championship, we all know that Colby Baber, Evan Longacre duking it out for that first place spot, only 9 points separating these two drivers. David Santini also in third place with 795 points behind, or 794 words, Mason, words. He's only about, actually, 20 points behind Colby Baber. So, I mean, Santini, Longacre, Baber, if we see any of these drivers up here in the front row, we know things are getting pretty serious here tonight at Talladega. But again, with tonight being a wild card, anyone can come away with a win here. You can't really count on that too much. So you kind of have to just hope for the best as a driver and just hope that you do well. You know, you also have battles for fourth place between John Binder and Kenny Meadows. John Binder with 689 points, Kenny Meadows only 10 points behind that. So, I mean, even if we're not looking at the top three, there's still points battles happening in the championship at this point. So, everyone's going to be hoping for the best finish here possible. And I think at this point, it's going to be tough saying who is going to be, well, as far as the championship is concerned, who is going to really be put in kind of a pickle here after tonight's race. But so far, none of our drivers in the top five, as far as I can tell, are actually up here in the top five spots. So all drivers that are up here at this moment are all kind of fighting for their own spots. I mean, Billy Fitzgerald, he's sixth place in the championship at this moment, so you can include him up there as well. Robert Cook, seventh place in the championship, so I mean, he's having a good night here at Dega as well, coming home, well, with fifth place at this moment, but still duking it out side by side with multiple drivers. So really good to see a good mixture on the field here tonight, as we typically do here with MSRA. I mean, a lot of these races that we've covered here for the Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals, it has been a lot of good racing, a lot of great talent here, and it shows. I mean, week in, week out, we're always seeing someone new up at, well, not necessarily new, maybe new to me, up in the booth talking to us, celebrating their victory. So it's always great to see. It's always refreshing to see for these broadcasts. So great to see all of this talent out here tonight, trying to do that the best that they possibly can. And so far, excluding the stage break, we have gone, with the caution laps, oh man, how many did we take? I think we took four caution laps, four caution laps. So we've gone essentially 38 laps, green flag here at Talladega. And I mean, we've seen a little bit of three wide action. We've seen, you know, drivers going side by side with one another all race long practically, and drivers trying to make moves on one another here and there. But relatively speaking, it has been clean racing here today at Talladega, and I love to see it. I'm all for it. So lap 44 of 85. Bobby Harmon continues on with his lead. Billy Fitzgerald, the 22 machine, also still in that second place spot, trying to see what he can do here, or really just waiting for the time to come when he may or may not be able to get up into the lead. But it has been a fight nonetheless to get up here into first place, and still seeing some drivers up here on the top lane trying to make it work with only 3 drivers. Richard Clement, the 44 of Derek Whitford, and the 2 of Matthew Dyer, all trying to challenge the inside lane as we come out of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. I mean, this is a tough situation to be in, folks, because, you know, it's not exactly straightforward to make a pass here at Talladega. You're kind of relying on the momentum of the race to make those passes, to make anything work here. You know, you're reading what drivers are doing around you. You're trying to keep an eye on any lanes that might become available to you. That way you can take advantage of them and get that faster speed. But it is a lot to soak in, and when you're going nearly 200 miles an hour, you don't exactly have a whole lot of time to think about things too clearly. You kind of just have to think about it once and either commit to it or decide that this isn't going to work. We'll try something else. Potentially starting to see tires affect at least the drivers up here on the outside lane. They're starting to fall back here rather significantly, and already starting to see Derek Whitford rejoin the bottom lane here. Matthew Dyer and Richard Clement going to opt to stay up there still, but I don't know for how long they're going to want to do that, as things could get rather dicey for them pretty quickly if they continue to stay out here and these guys build some more momentum down on the bottom lane. But they know what they're doing. Hopefully their strategy will work out in their favor, and as we get closer to kind of that expected, or at least my predicted, pit window here, before we see the kind of the final stint of the night here, as I'm saying that, looks to be Richard Clement, Matthew Dyer right up side by side with the leader. So only for just a moment did they fall off the pace there before quickly finding it back down the front curve and back into turn 1 and out of 2 onto the back straightaway. This is where the speed of that outside lane kind of starts to be affected here. Only 3 drivers up there able to get into that draft. Meanwhile, the bottom lane has anywhere between 4 to 5 drivers at a time. And so on the straights, they're able to get a lot of momentum and a lot of speed. So tough thing to kind of work around here for Richard Clement, Matthew Dyer, as well as now Derek Whitford rejoining the outside groove here. And here through turn one, it looks to be we're going to have Richard Clement Sr. taking the lead, potentially, if he drops down to the bottom, coming out of turn two onto the back straightaway. He does not. He chooses to stay side by side here with Bobby Harmon, the 73 machine, down the back straightaway. Heading into turn number three, I think he had the opportunity there, and I can't say 100% certainly, but it definitely looked like Richard had the room to be able to get down onto the inside lane ahead of Bobby Harmon and take the lead here. Might have hesitated, might have chose not to go down there, but either way, that was very close moments here for the battle for the lead, and it looks to be they're going to go at it here once more. Going back into turn one, and there it is. The move from the 52 machine into the front. A long time coming here for Richard Clement Sr. He has been building that up here for quite some time, and finally able to do so through turn one and onto the back straightaway, seeing nothing but clean air ahead of him. Matthew Dyer and Derek Whitford, they're getting a pretty impressive run here down the back straightaway, heading into turn number three. The two machine alongside the leader of Richard Clement Sr. Jamie Knopp seeing the speed out of the top lane. Going to join the drivers up here and see what he can make of it. As we come back in through turn one, this is where we're starting to see drivers make a little bit of a changeup happen for the front. And we might potentially see another change of hand for the lead here between Matthew Dyer and Richard Clement. Doesn't appear to be that it's going to work quite this time here for Matthew, as he keeps up the momentum down the back straightaway, heading into turn number three, still alongside Richard Clement here for the lead. Timing and scoring showing Matthew Dyer here only ahead by mere inches. As we go through 3 and 4, Richard retakes the lead again by only a matter of a few inches here. But back across the checkered line into turn number one. There's the room that we like to see. And there it is, the move from Matthew Dyer down to the front of the pack here at Talladega Superspeedway for race number 28 of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals, also brought to you by Old School Ninjas. Three wide there for just a moment with some lap traffic here. Chad Gooningsman, the number 9 machine, finding himself up here with the lead lap drivers now. Starting to see a little bit more of a populated pack up here towards the front. And no, folks, there is not another caution. Do not fret. Here goes Derek Whitford, the 44 machine, now able to get that up to the front here. Into turn number 1, he's got the room to get up to the inside lane, and here he goes. Also joined with Jamie Knopp, the 28 machine. It's a 2-for-1 job. Here through turns 1 and 2, and out onto the back straightaway, Derek Whitford into the lead with Jamie Knopp, the 28 machine, in second place here, the previous leader. Before the stage break, also, my guess here for the Talladega favorite, as Knopf has had quite a run here, having restarted from essentially the tail end of the field and all the way back up here into second place now. Across the checkered line, it'll be lap 57 of 85. Here for race number 28 at Talladega Superspeedway. Now, what I'm kind of surprised at here right now, folks, is the fact that Jamie Knopp opted to go back down. I mean, really, he didn't have much other choice at the moment, but now that we're starting to see the 64 of Robert Cook, as well as, oh, I can't see who that was. I believe that's Scott Stevens in the 55. Yes, it is. Okay, so, oh boy. Scott Stevens, a little bit of a moment there trying to rejoin the bottom lane, and here we go, single file all the way through at Talladega Superspeedway for the entire field. I think these drivers are getting themselves ready for a pit stop here, as right now no one is making any sort of challenge for the outside lane. Everyone staying single file, and here we go, Matthew Dyer to the inside, drops below the white. Oh boy, slides his way. I don't know if there was a lockup there from the number 2 or not, but it looked like that was definitely a hot entry going into pit road. But Matthew Dyer going to be the first driver to come through pit lane, get a fresh set of Goodyears, as well as a full tank of fuel, and prepare himself for the final 25 laps here at Talladega. And I have a feeling that a lot of this field is going to do this the same here, probably this next turn here. Let's see who else is gonna come on through here. No one. Wow. And it looks like Matthew Dyer, the 2 machine, has actually parked it for the race. I'm assuming has decided that "57 laps here at Talladega is enough for himself, and that's going to be the end of the 2 machines race, which is a real shame to say the least, seeing how really he was still having a good run up there, but you got to do what you got to do. So as we have 25 laps left to go, we're single file through the field. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans, and here we go. It is a dash across the commitment line here through pit road. A handful of drivers going to come down and get their fresh set of tires as well as fuel. Meanwhile, up front, it's Jamie Knopf, Derek Whitford still fighting for the lead here. Both of these drivers going to be hesitant to come down into pit road, I think, at this point in time, but they are going to have to make the choice sooner than later before their car makes it for them. With only 23 laps left to go, things are going to get rather dicey here quickly. And looking at some of the other drivers that have already made their way through pit road, as we see the rest of this field now make their way down through the pits. Lockups from some drivers here. Hopefully no speeding penalties being served to these drivers, but as they make their way through pit road, looking down the back straightaway, coming into turn number 3, it's Bobby Harmon in the lead here once again in the 73 car with Scott Stevens and Robert Cook, as well as Kenny Meadows and Brent Wall. Going to be passing pit road here in just a moment. Jamie Knopf, Derek Whitford back out onto track here. They're going to quickly see the rest of the field potentially make their way past here. There's the rest of the field. Just, a little bit of calamity here coming down the back straightaway as drivers coming out of pit road rejoin the group here. Oh my, oh my. That looks like it could have been a lot worse here, but luckily they were able to rejoin this pack here pretty much at the perfect time. Any later and this would have been pretty much a done-for race for these drivers trying to get back up here into the battle for, I mean, really any of these spots up here in this pack at this moment, whether it's for the lead or for a top 3 position or top 5. Here's we're starting to see a 2 wide, 4 deep battle coming out of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. Robert Cook, Mike Howerton going to be taking first and second place here as they get a good momentum here out on the back. Oh boy. Oh, Kenny Meadows there, not looking too good there for a moment. Able to recover it very well. The Rolex 96 machine looking a little dangerous there for a second. It might have also been just the camera angle that we switched to in that moment. But Robert Cook, the 64 driver, able to take the lead at this moment up on the top lane, but for how long is the question as we come out of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway with 20 laps left to go. As we take a look on the inside of Kenny Meadows' Rolex 96 car coming out of turn 4 onto the front curve, if you will. Just taking a moment to enjoy what it's like to be a virtual passenger here along with Kenny Meadows as he continues his race here at Talladega Superspeedway. Outside lane here, getting good run. Going into turn number 3, Robert Cook potentially could drop down to the inside lane and take that spot away from Bobby Harmon. Still opting to stay up here on the top lane, and drivers like Jamie Knopf may not exactly want to see that here. These are one of the drivers that want to get up there in the front, but I mean, frankly, all of these drivers do. And Bobby Harmon is looking to keep his lead and come home with a win here tonight. And not only a win for Bobby Harmon, but his first win of the season. So it could be a big night here for the 73 driver if he continues on the path here. But he's also got a good handful of drivers here that are all eager to come home with a win here tonight at Talladega, and frankly, it is going to be a heated battle to the end. Robert Cook again able to get enough gap here on the 73 of Bobby Harmon into turn 1, and coming out of turn 2, let's see if he's going to drop down. No, he's not. He's going to keep up there. He's confident up there on the middle outside lane. Just watching this action unfold here for the lead at this moment, as it continues on. And I mean, even looking a little bit further back, we haven't really looked too much at this pack in this final half of the race here, but there is indeed a couple different packs here throughout Talladega. And back here towards, let's say, the outside of the top 10 here, we have drivers continuing to fight for positions outside of the top 10, but I mean, really the action is up here towards the front, where, you know, we have drivers that are fighting for positions, you know, just outside of the top 3 for the championship, or even looking to come home with their first win here for the season. Talladega, the land of opportunity, as I'll call it here tonight. And here we go. It looks to be that we're going to start to see 3-lane action here unfold as we come through 3 and 4. Kenny Meadows, Jamie Knopf gonna take the reins on the far outside lane and see if they can make it work for them. I can only imagine the communication between teams, if there are teams up here working for positions. I mean, everyone is fending for their own, but when you have teammates up here, it can work in your favor when you're able to work with each other to try and get oh boy, oh wow, big move here from Kenny Meadows, and almost a close one here from the 96 driver. A little bit of commotion coming out of turn number 4. Oh boy, and it's the wreck here, the one that I was honestly, folks, expecting here all race long, and it is oh boy, look at Jamie Knopf just barely getting away from all of that here as well. The big one is out here at Talladega, and it is taken 4 drivers in total here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Team Goon Squad instant replay here. There goes Kenny Meadows. Kyle Mollering, or no, Mike Howerton, Scott Stevens, Kenny Meadows. Mike Howerton was involved in there. Bobby Harmon involved. And with 13 laps left to go, that will be our first official caution of the race here, excluding the stage break that we saw on lap 20. Jamie Knopf going to opt to come. Oh, boy, I can see why now. It does not look like he was able to make it through that incident unscathed, as the front end of the 28 machine is seen better days. So now all eyes are on Derek Whitford, the 44 machine, who takes the lead here going into this restart. Brent Wall, Kyle Mollering going to be second and third place. John Binder, Barry Stevens fourth and fifth to round out our top five. I gotta say, this has been quite the race here tonight, folks. I mean, all race long, it was looking very calm, very steady, and only just took a little bit of a bob and a weave from the 96 of Kenny Meadows, and it just went downhill from there. Multiple drivers finding themselves down in pit road for a little bit longer than expected. Mike Howerton, Kenny Meadows, Scott Stevens, Bobby Harmon, Robert Cook. I'm also seeing Jeffrey Meyer, Jamie Knopf. They're both down there as well. All for well over a minute and a half now at this point. So I think it's safe to say that a lot of these drivers have either called it a race or have just taken in too much damage to be able to see it until the end here. Drivers lining up, double file here, getting ready for the next restart. The green flag to drop here once again at Talladega Superspeedway as we come through turns 3 and 4. Or excuse me. As we come out of turn 2, excuse me, it looked like turn 3 there for a moment. Anyway, coming down the back straightaway, we will be back to green flag here just shortly. And once we do, it'll be 10 laps to go here at Talladega. And having seen a small chunk of our field get involved with the incident just not too long ago here, some drivers opting to call it a night here. Other drivers just going to watch it from the pits as the rest of tonight's unfolds. Here now as we come through turn 3. We'll come out of turn 4. We'll see the pace car make its dive down into pit lane, and we'll see some more action here and see who's going to come away with the win here tonight. And through the Geico restart zone, the green flag drops here once again. Seeing some 3-wide action here right out of the gate for the battle for second place. As Derek Whitford gets a gap on the rest of the field here, trying to get some distance built up before the rest of the field catches up to him. Colby Baber right in the middle of a 3-wide sandwich. He's able to get out of that here very quickly. The championship leader looking for a good run here, trying to get as good of a finish here at Talladega as he can as the doors open for him, coming down the back straightaway. Looking into turn number 3, now into the top 3. Baber, the 10 car, looking to see what he can do here with 10 laps left to go. As we come out of turn number 4, he's up on the outside of Brent Wall, the leader here at Talladega. Surprising to see here the 44 of Derek Whitford drop back here just behind Kyle Mollering as well as Brent Wall. 4-wide action happening just behind these drivers. I mean, it is all over the track here at this point in time. With 9 laps left to go, everyone scrapping for positions, trying to do all that they can here. With just a few laps left to go, Baber trying to get this middle lane to work for him. Get another run up to the front and make a challenge here for the lead. All 3 lanes being utilized as we come through 3 and 4. Good run here for Baber. Brent Wall trying to do all that he can to get as much speed out of the 6 car as possible as we come back through turns 1 and 2. This is where we've seen drivers make passes to the down to the inside lane. And as we come back out onto the back straightaway, it's a drag race to turn 3. There goes Baber up into the front, and he's all in his lonesome. Evan Longacre, his opponent here in the championship. It is a battle not only for the win here tonight now, but for the lead for the championship between both of the contenders here. Evan Longacre, Colby Baber. The only driver that's missing from the bunch here is David Santini, the 3rd place driver in the championship. He's just a little bit further back here. But right now, between Evan Longacre and Colby Baber, it is a mad dash to the finish here. Baber able to get a little bit of a run here on the middle lane. Baber still on the inside. Coming out of turn number 4, the 10 machine still holding on to the lead as far as timing and scoring is concerned, but it's only by inches. As we come through across the checkered line and back into turn number 1, it's 6 laps left here to go. We've been 3 wide here for quite some time. Jeffrey Meyer, the 50 machine, looking to get a run here on the outside lane, on the far outside lane here as well. Not quite able to make it work right now as Baber, Evan Longacre hold on to the battle for the lead. as we come into turn number 3 here once again. Oh boy, Baber. I think tried to throw a little bit of defense there to Evan Longacre, trying to slow him up a little bit, but it's going to backfire here 4 wide as we come across the line and back into turn number 1. Baber's in trouble. It's contact through turn number 1. Multiple drivers getting involved in this one. I don't think there are almost the entire field getting themselves a piece of the action here with 5 laps left to go. Let's take a look at this instant replay. There you see Baber to the side of the 44 of Derek Whitford. That sends Baber back up to the top and into multiple drivers, and from there, it only gets worse. Only a handful of drivers able to make it through that one unscathed. Jamie Knopf, I think maybe got through that one a-okay, but man, I gotta say, with only a few laps left to go, this just got even more complicated. So as drivers get themselves stacked up here with the pace car and ready to go for the next start here, I'm going to have to imagine here that we're going to go into a green-white checkered. Because if I recall correctly, caution laps do count here for the MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza National Series. I don't know if this... I think this is going to be our first GWC attempt here tonight. So after multiple drivers getting involved in that incident here, we're going to come across the checkered line. The lights are going to go off, and this will be our first green-white checkered attempt here at Talladega for the end of tonight's race and crown a winner here today. So a tough break for a lot of drivers here after that incident. Multiple drivers getting involved and finding themselves down, either out of the race or, well, practically out of the race here. Multiple drivers taking it behind the wall and deciding that's going to be the end of their attempt here at Dega. And sometimes that's the way it goes. But for the playoffs, it's going to hurt a little bit more for the drivers that were looking for a good finish here in tonight's playoff race. But here we go. Evan Longacre, Brent Wall starting up in the front row. Barry Stevens, Jamie Knopf in the second row. Jeffrey Meyer and Billy Fitzgerald in the third row. Let's see how these drivers are going to handle this restart. And see how the rest of this race is going to go here as pace car makes its way down into pit road. Into the Geico restart zone, the green flag drops, and across the checkered line, it's 2 laps left to go here at Talladega. Brent Wall gonna do all that he can here to get a jump on the field. But with drivers like Jamie Knopf, Evan Longacre, and Jeffrey Meyer, I believe, back here following him, no, that's Barry Stevens, actually. It looked like Jeffrey Meyer's car there for a moment, but either way, there goes Evan Longacre up to the outside, looking for a good run here with 2 laps left to go as we come out of turn 4. Once we come across the line, the white flag will be out. It'll be the final attempt here for any positions for these drivers, and it's going to be a mad dash across the checkered line. Evan Longacre, a good run here in the 95 machine into turn number 1. Gonna be able to potentially get up into the front here as we come into turn number 1. Not quite dipping down to the inside just yet, but this is the last chance to dance here for drivers, and right now Evan Longacre has the potential here to come away with it all. We come into turn number 3, side by side between Brent Wall, Evan Longacre. Who's it gonna be? 2 wide, 3 deep, almost 4 deep. Out of turn number 4, onto the front curve. It's a sprint to the checkered line. Longacre with just enough distance between them. Who's gonna take it home for the win here? The 95 comes across the line only just barely as they wreck just behind them. Calamity across the line. Evan Longacre comes home with the win, with Brent Wall in second and Barry Stevens in third place. Evan Longacre, gotta say, that was an incredible run here for the 95 machine and able to come home with it all here. A well-earned victory for Evan, even despite the contact that himself and Jamie Knopf were in earlier. Able to recover from that and get back out here and continue on with his race and come home victorious. As we get a look at our post-race results here, Evan Longacre going to look to take a victory lap and I think burn it down here on the checkered line in celebration of his win here at Talladega, and I would assume his move to the lead for the championship, as we're going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews. First up in the booth, we are going to have Barry Stevens joining us up here for third place here. Barry, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your third place finish here tonight for Team Old School Ninjas. It's got to be a good feeling getting up here into the podium here at Talladega after, I mean, seemingly a good green race in the first half, and then towards the end, that's where the caution started to come out, and a little bit of uncertainty, I think, started to come out on the field. But for yourself, Barry, what was your goal coming into tonight, and did you meet or exceed that expectation?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm ninth in the points. I knew that to move on after our road race next week, I need to be obviously in the top 8. So my goal was to finish in the top 8 tonight, and if anything better than that was great. And things just rolled my way. Everything went better than I thought it could.
Yeah, coming into Talladega, you never really can expect too much as a driver. I mean, it's pretty much just show up, strap yourself in, and hope for the best. But, I mean, like I was saying, you guys had that really solid green flag run, and then we started to see a little bit of cautions come out towards the end. Did you maybe think for a moment that you were going to get collected and all that, and you were going to be one of the drivers down in pit road, watching the race from pit road and not being too happy there toward the end?
Absolutely. We had a couple of cautions where it just got really hectic. In fact, there were 3 guys on our team that we almost got collected in it just at one time. So, it doesn't matter where you're at here. You can be in first place, you can be in last place, or in the middle. When the caution comes out, you do the best you can and hope that you come out on the other end.
Absolutely. Well, luckily for you, the 78 machine comes out here on the podium here at Talladega and relatively unscathed, it looks like, looking at the 78 machine up here in the booth. So, gotta say, keeping that 78 car nice and clean here on the podium, gotta be a good feeling here as well. But Barry, before we let you go here and celebrate with your team, your podium tonight, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Well, of course, I'd like to thank our team owner, Dave Santini, at OSN Racing. We have a great team. As you could tell, we, as a team, we stayed together tonight, and it made the difference. And then, of course, Evan, who won the race and sponsors our league at Rapid Fired Pizza, got to thank him. Really just our entire OSN racing team, as well as Race Control, for showing up each and every week to keep us honest and making the races smooth.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. Well, Barry, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations on your podium, and hopefully get to carry that success forward into the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Alrighty, folks, that was Barry Stevens out of the booth here tonight, bringing home third place here at Talladega Superspeedway. Up next is technically Brent Wall in the number 6 machine, but I do not think that we are going to have an opportunity to have a word here with the 6th driver tonight. But that is a-okay. We're going to congratulate Brent Wall on his 6th place finish, doing a phenomenal job getting up here onto the podium and coming away with that 2nd place spot here at Talladega. Evan Longacre is up here ready for his interview, the 95 machine coming home with his win here tonight. Gotta say, Evan, this was a phenomenal race to witness. I mean, we've seen a lot of drivers exchanging hands for the lead. We've seen yourself and as well as Jamie Knopp kind of giving it a little bit of a run there for a while before both of you found yourself a little bit further back in the field, having to rework your way up this field. Now, given, the first half of the race, we saw green flag runs all the way through, and then later towards the last 40 laps, that's where we started to see the cautions come out. Evan, I mean, before those cautions started to come out, I mean, what was your mindset at that point in time, and what was your kind of plan for the rest of the race?
So, at the beginning of the race there, I just wanted to get through that first stage with us being in the playoffs. I mean, I was in a good spot. I mean, I was 9 points up, but like when get wrecked on lap 5 and get no stage points and a really bad finish, and you're all of a sudden instead of 9 points up, I could easily be 20 points down. So I just wanted to get through that first stage well. I had a really fast car, and I knew, depending on how things shook out, I didn't think things would get too crazy in that first stage, but I just wanted to get good stage points. Everybody drove a great race in that first stage, no problems, no issues. Pushed Jeffrey Meyer, one of my good buddies, to stage win. So that was, if I couldn't win it, I'm glad Jeffrey was able to get that stage win and that playoff point. That's awesome for him. But then after that, I mean, I wanted to drop back. I mean, I knew we were just going to ride and, just kind of chat and talk in the Discord and just run laps with my OSN teammates. So that was kind of the plan, but we got back up there, and until those first couple yellows or whatever, everybody in our group in the back of the pack there was that first yellow. Everybody did a great job of slowing down and heads up driving and not running into anybody. Everybody did awesome there. So that was great. And then that last caution, I looked in my mirror and I looked out the windshield, and it was just Brent and I. And I'm like, where did everybody go? So I tried to just be, smart about where I put the car. And, I mean, I know a lot of this is luck, but, I tried to be smart about where I placed the car and what moves I made and how I did things in order to give myself the best chance to get lucky. And
I think you definitely gave yourself the best bit of luck that you could here tonight, Evan. I think you should go out and buy yourself a Mega Millions ticket after tonight. But Evan, I mean, even after tonight's win, you also, if I understand things correctly here, let me actually refresh my point standings here and see if that has been updated yet. But if I'm not mistaken, Evan, you will have taken the lead, and indeed you have, by looks to be 7 points ahead of Colby Baber here for the championship. So you are now the man to beat, and with that in mind, looking forward into next week's race at the Charlotte Roval, what are kind of your thoughts about road courses, and specifically the Charlotte Roval in particular?
I'm not bad. I'm not great. I've got 2 teammates that are really, really good road course racers. Billy is really fast at them, Billy Fitzgerald, and David Santini is really fast at them. So I'm just happy that I'm locked into the next round of the playoffs. I picked up 5 more playoff points here, so I'm in good shape. I don't really have to worry about the Roval now. I mean, I'm locked into the round of 8, so that's really all that matters. It's been awesome this year, and David, Colby, and myself have all been at the front of the field this year and all fighting for a title. So, with everybody else in there, I mean, like I said, it can fluctuate. Billy jumped last week with a good point. He won the stage last week, and I had a really good finish as well. So, things can fluctuate up and down so much. I'm just happy that I don't have to worry about the Roval near as much as anybody else, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, with all of that, carrying that forward into the rest of the playoffs here, hopefully we get to see yourself back up here on the podium at least one more time before we see the season end off here, Evan. But you put on a phenomenal show here tonight at Talladega, and hopefully get to see yourself back up there fighting for the lead next week at the Roval. But we'll see how that plays out here for everyone involved in that one. But Evan, before you go and celebrate your win here tonight, got to give you shout-outs. Who's watching the broadcast, who's out there at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank for your victory here tonight?
Yeah, no, I ran a Nitro Racing setup in qualifying, so thanks to Jeffrey Meyer for the qualifying setup. Ran that, got me a good starting spot. Ran a Reaper Speed Lab set for the race tonight, so thanks to Boyd Hogan and Reaper and all them for those, those two guys for the setups. I've really got to thank Billy Fitzgerald. He 110% pushed me to that win. You can't do that without friends, and you can't do it without help. I got to thank, all my teammates that run with me every single week here. There's Barry Stevens, Kyle Mollering, Billy Fitzgerald, David Santini, and John Bender. So, thanks to all those guys who run with us on OSN here. Thanks to everybody that shows up every week to run with us. We got an awesome group of guys, 20-something guys every single week that dedicate their time to coming out here on Thursday. So I gotta really appreciate everyone that comes out here and does this with us every single week. Thanks to Nitro Racing for sponsoring our 13th place driver award for the guys that aren't in the playoffs, and then also sponsoring the $10 prize to a random non-playoff driver. We'll do that drawing here shortly. So thanks to Jeffrey and Nitro Racing for sponsoring that. Thanks to Rapid Fire Pizza for being the title sponsor. Thanks to thanks to Old School Ninjas for being the other title sponsor. I'm just really happy, man. I won Daytona, won Talladega. Whenever I was a little kid, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was my favorite driver. He's pretty good at these kind of tracks, so it's kind of cool to win these because they're such a crapshoot, and you don't know you've got it until the last second. So it's easy to get pumped up about winning one of these because it's never by much.
Yeah, definitely wasn't by much here tonight either. So great success here tonight for you, Evan Longacre. Great to see the 95 up there taking home the win here for Talladega. Not just one, but two speedways to your name. Let's keep that up. But Evan, sorry?
One quick last thing. Got to thank Matt Knight and MK Designs for the new fresh paint. So this paint is on the car. It's a brand new paint. I think it just finished drying right before the race. So we put some slick mist on this thing, and it was fast. So thanks to Matt Knight and MK Designs for painting the car.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, Evan. Congratulations on your win, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Charlotte.
Hey, thank you guys so much for doing the broadcast every week. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely. Love doing it.
Later, man.
Absolutely. Have a good one. All right, that was Evan Longacre out of the booth here with the win, but we're not quite done just yet. Brent Wall showing up here just a little bit late to the booth. Brent Wall, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish here tonight. I gotta say, this was a race of a lot of uncertainty, and I mean, for yourself, it looks like you were up there in the right time, the right place, able to come home with a podium here tonight. I mean, were you expecting that at all, or was it Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I say that, no, because I'm usually wrecked out of these things, but the last couple of plate tracks I've been up at the front at the end with a chance at it and gotten wrecked. So, and me and Kenny had tested the car early in the run, or early in the day, to see if we could make it from the back to the front pretty quick, and we did. So I kind of had a feeling we'd be up there somewhere. It was just a matter of whether things fell into place to get all the way up there. So, and obviously a lot of things fell into place in pieces.
Yeah. I think towards the end of the race here, a lot of the plans or expectations for drivers were thrown out of the window here. But Brent, I mean, Talladega, one of those wild card races where coming into it, you never really know what to expect. And being able to come out on top has always got to be a good feeling. But going into next week at the Roval, it's a whole different set of challenges at Charlotte. What's kind of your goals, or at least what are you preparing for next week at Charlotte?
Certain death. I don't like road courses at all. So if I show up, I'm probably going to end up wrecked. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, hopefully we don't see the sixth machine wreck too early in that race. Hopefully we get to see some good laps for yourself next week at the Roval. As I know those road courses can be tough in these cars. They're not exactly a walk in the park. But Brent, phenomenal job here tonight. Congratulations again on your podium here today. But before we let you go and crack one open and celebrate, is anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home or in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank for your success here?
Not really. My teammate Kenny for helping till he got wrecked. That's about it.
Well, great to have you up here tonight, Brent. Love talking to you, and hopefully we get to talk to you more before the season ends.
All right, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Alrighty, folks, that was Brent Wall out of the booth, and that's going to conclude our coverage here of the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals, race number 28 here at Talladega Superspeedway. My name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 nights a week, and I will see you all same time, same place next week for the race at the Charlotte Roval. Thank you all for tuning in, and see you all next time.